Three really striking findings came to the fore in the current wave of the Chapman University Survey of American Fears. First, we found that Americans have a high tendency towards belief in conspiracy theories. We also found that Americans have very pronounced fear of Muslims and Islam as a religion. And finally, we found Americans don't quite know what to do when it comes to reporting possible terrorist activity. The top 10 fears of 2016 were first, the fear of corrupt government officials, with over 60% of Americans fearing government corruption, followed by the United States being the victim of a terrorist attack, such as 9/11, not having enough money for the future, being a personal victim of terrorism, as in being in a location where a terrorist attack happens, government restrictions on firearms and ammunition, people you love dying, economic or financial collapse, identity theft. At number 9, we have people you love becoming seriously ill. And the final item on our list was Obamacare. The United States is a very paranoid society, but conspiracy theories are more common and more popular at times of social upheaval. The top 3 conspiracy theories on our survey were first the 9/11 attacks, followed by the JFK assassination, and finally alien encounters. We found that the vast majority of Americans believed in at least one of these 9 conspiracies we asked about. Only 26% of Americans, so a little more than a fourth, did not find any merit to any of these conspiracy theories. There's a very strong core of extreme conspiratism in our country.
Fear of terrorism is widespread in America. Many Americans have actually changed how they live their daily lives. A significant number of Americans say they avoid sporting events, concerts, and other public events because of their fear of terrorism. And still others say they're afraid to travel abroad. Following San Bernardino, President Obama said, if you see something, say something. And Americans do believe it is their responsibility to report suspicious activities, but they're really unaware of what those activities are. So it's really important that Americans be educated on what to report and also what not to report.
We were surprised at the extent of the distrust of Muslims in America. Less than 1% of the American population is Muslim, but they're the focus of a great deal of concern. We asked Americans about several groups that they might mistrust. Strangers were the only ones that people distrusted more than Muslims. 44% of the American population expresses distrust of Muslims simply because they're Muslims. Our fear of Muslims have led many Americans to actually advocate institutionalized discrimination based on religion alone. 60% of Americans report that there should be more screening for Muslims in airports. More than 1 out of 3 believe we should have increased police presence in Muslim neighborhoods. 38% believe we should cease Muslim immigration altogether. Actually, the differences among Americans and how they distrust Muslims wasn't very surprising. You're more likely to distrust Muslims if you're white, if you're male, if you're rural, if you're older, if you have a high school education or less. And what we're seeing is this matches the fear we see of different kinds of fears. People are afraid of what they don't know, and these are the groups that have been least likely to meet a Muslim in their daily life. I do believe we have an irrational fear. I don't want to downplay the effects of terrorism. Each attack can be deadly, but it's still important for us to remember that this is an extremely rare event, and less than half of the terrorist attacks in this country over the past 50 years have come from Muslims. The truth of the matter is you're in much more danger of dying driving your child to school than you are from dying in a terrorist attack. We're not afraid to drive our kids to school. We don't talk about deporting other drivers.